Imagine witnessing a crime before it happens, not predicting it, not guessing it, but watching it unfold in reverse. A shattered window slowly reassembles. A dropped object rises back into a hand. A fleeing suspect walks backward into the scene. Time itself rewinds. Authorities do not arrive after the incident. They arrive before it, because they have already seen the outcome. Ask yourself a chilling question. If we could observe the future by watching it reverse, could we stop crime before it ever existed? Or would we become prisoners of events that have technically already happened? In this scenario, humanity develops a revolutionary technology, a system capable of observing future events by analyzing time in reverse from a fixed point ahead, not time travel in the traditional sense, not physical movement through time, but temporal observation, a device that can project a localized reverse playback of the near future seconds, minutes, or even hours ahead, displaying events as if they are already complete and rewinding back toward the present. Law enforcement agencies deploy these systems across cities. They do not predict crimes using statistics. They watch the aftermath first and trace it backward to the moment before it occurs. If a robbery is destined to happen at 8:05 p.m., the system shows the crime in reverse at 8:04 p.m., giving authorities one critical advantage: intervention before the event manifests in forward time. To understand the implications, we must first understand the mechanism. This technology operates on the concept of temporal data reconstruction. Instead of forecasting probabilities, it observes a finalized timeline fragment and rewinds its sequence frame by frame. Practical terms, the system identifies location of incident, participants involved, objects used, sequence of actions, environmental context. Unlike predictive AI, which estimates based on past patterns, reverse observation would function as a near-certain timeline preview. Its capabilities would be extraordinary: near-perfect crime prevention, instant identification of perpetrators, accurate reconstruction of events before they occur, minimal investigative uncertainty. However, its most profound property is philosophical. If the future can be watched in reverse, does that future already exist? And if it exists, can it truly be changed? Historically, crime prevention has always been reactive. From ancient patrol guards to modern forensic science, justice systems operate after the fact. Even today's most advanced systems, predictive policing algorithms, behavioral analytics, and surveillance networks are still fundamentally probabilistic. They assess risks, they detect anomalies, they estimate likelihood, but they do not know the future. In physics, time is often treated as a directional flow, governed by entropy, the tendency of systems to move from order to disorder. This arrow of time defines causality: cause first, effect later. Reversing observation challenges this fundamental principle. Some theoretical physics models, particularly those exploring block universe theory, suggest that past, present, and future may coexist as part of a fixed timeline structure. If such a structure were observable, reverse future playback would not be predicting events, it would be revealing them. And that distinction would transform justice forever. Phase 1. Experimental deployment, years 1 to 5 initially. The technology would be limited and controversial. Governments test localized reverse observation systems in high-risk areas, banks, airports, urban centers. Early results would be astonishing. The system detects a planned theft minutes before it occurs. Authorities intervene. The crime never happens. Crime statistics begin to drop dramatically. Public perception shifts rapidly. People feel safer. Institutions gain confidence. Funding expands. But a subtle paradox emerges. The system shows crimes that never end up happening because they were prevented. Phase 2. Institutional integration, years 5 to 10. As reliability improves, reverse observation becomes integrated into national security frameworks. Police departments begin relying on future reconstruction feeds. Emergency services respond to incidents before emergency calls are even made. Legal systems begin accepting reverse timeline evidence as valid. Investigations become less about discovery and more about confirmation. But ethical debates intensify. If someone is arrested for a crime that only existed in a future timeline, have they committed it or merely intended it? Phase 3. Behavioral consequences, years 10 to 20. Once the public becomes aware that the future can be observed, behavior begins to change. Criminal activity declines significantly. It's not because morality suddenly improves, but because certainty of detection becomes absolute. If every future crime is visible in advance, the risk of committing one becomes nearly irrational. However, a new social dynamic emerges. People begin questioning their own choices. If a system can already see what they will do, are they truly making free decisions, or following a predetermined path? Phase 4. The paradox of intervention here is where the scenario becomes deeply complex. Suppose the system shows a violent incident at 6 p.m. Authorities intervene at 5:58 p.m. and prevent it. The incident never happens in forward time, yet the system already observed it. This creates a feedback loop. The future shows an event. Intervention prevents the event. But the event was still seen in reverse. Does the timeline update? Or does the system reveal multiple possible futures? If the observed future changes with intervention, the system becomes less of a window into destiny and more of a dynamic simulation. But if it does not change, then prevention may simply be part of the timeline itself. The justice system would face unprecedented challenges. Traditional law relies on evidence of completed actions, but reverse observation introduces pre-crime evidence. Could someone be detained based on a future act that has not yet occurred? Would intent become punishable? Would prevention override due process? Historical legal systems evolved around the concept of causality. Action gives investigation, gives judgment. Reverse observation disrupts this sequence. Observation gives prevention, gives no crime. In such a system, the definition of guilt becomes blurred. It's not by uncertainty, but by certainty that exists before the act itself. Knowing the future is being watched would reshape human psychology. Spontaneity could decline. Risk-taking behaviors could decrease. Decision-making could become more cautious. Citizens may feel protected, but also monitored by time itself. A deeper existential effect could emerge. If people believe their future actions are already visible, the sense of free will may weaken. Some might rebel against the system, others might surrender to it. Society could divide between those who trust the technology and those who fear its implications. Even with advanced temporal observation, limitations would remain. Accuracy windows may be short, data interpretation could still be flawed, context may still be misunderstood. A reversed future image might show a confrontation, but not the motive. It's not the emotional context, not the unseen factors influencing behavior. Additionally, technological reliance introduces systemic risk. If the system fails, even briefly a society accustomed to preemptive prevention could face sudden vulnerability. Crime prevention would no longer rely on vigilance, but on temporal infrastructure. Nature operates through cause and effect. Lightning strikes after electrical buildup. Earthquakes occur after tectonic pressure. Human decisions follow thought and intention. Reverse observation challenges this natural order. Instead of reacting to causes, humanity would respond to effects before their causes unfold. This inversion of causality could redefine how we understand responsibility, intention, and consequence. For the first time in history, effect would guide cause. At first, the idea of preventing crime by watching the future reverse itself sounds like the ultimate safeguard. A world with fewer crimes, fewer victims, fewer tragedies, safer cities, faster interventions, near-perfect prevention. But beneath the surface lies a profound philosophical dilemma. If the future can be observed, is it fixed? And if it is fixed, can prevention truly change it? Or is prevention itself already part of the timeline being observed? Justice would no longer operate in the present. It would operate in anticipation of the inevitable. Human behavior would no longer be judged solely by actions, but by actions that might have happened. And society would face a haunting realization. Safety gained through temporal certainty may come at the cost of existential freedom, because the moment we begin acting based on a visible future, we may no longer be shaping it. We may simply be following it. So the ultimate question remains: if technology allowed us to see crimes before they occur and stop them instantly, would we be creating the safest civilization in history? Or a world where the future is no longer something we choose, but something we merely watch unfold in reverse?